To investigate the eye with a cow eye dissection. And to start with, we're going to look at the parts of the eye grouped in one, at the front of the eye, cornea layer protecting the eye, the iris, the coloured portion behind it, and the lens behind that. On the diagram there to the right, number 2, you've got the layers of the inside of the eye, the sclera coat, the retina, the choroid layer, and also shows the notch, which is the most sensitive part of the eye with just cones, the fovea. And number 3, the optic nerve leading out of the eye from the lower portion of the back of the eye. So we're going to start with safety. We're going to look at the sharp objects, cutting objects, etc., and some care with biological samples. You need correct clothing, OSHA-approved goggles, gloves, and an apron and a lab coat. Leave all the sharp objects, the blades, the mounted needle, at one end of the dissecting tray when not in use, with the sharp points all together. Pick up the blade by the handle and very carefully, and as you are cutting, make sure your fingers, and indeed the gloves on the fingers, aren't going to get cut. Change your gloves if they do. And care with biological samples, so you're going to keep goggles on at all times. And here's the equipment, the safety equipment, the cutting tools, and the dissection tray, tweezers, cow eye, and any cloths you might need for cleanup as well. And at the end, so leave goggles and other safety clothing on right up until the end. Put all the cow parts into a trash liner in a bin and scrape all the little bits out. Rinse the dissecting tools carefully and place them in the beakers, the separated different instruments, different ones, as instructed with the blade downwards. And then wipe your lab bench, wash your dissecting tray, and then wash your hands when you've cleaned up as well. I'm going to start by slowly looking at the outside, the exterior view of the cow's eye. So you're going to put it down, you're going to sketch it, see if you can put any labels on it at this time or add to it later, what you can actually see.
Oh man.
Can you explain what you're doing right now?
Right now we are cutting the fat off the outside of the eye
and the muscle.
And the muscle right there.
Great.
And if you can see any fat or muscles there, include that on your diagram. Can you see the optic nerve? You can look at the photograph there and see what you can identify. So you're going to cut into the cornea. So you're going to push the scalpel in and just make sure that your fingers aren't behind where the scalpel's going in. So hold the cow's eye carefully. And what you see when you cut through the thickness of the cornea is going to be something that leaks out. And what do you think the purpose of that fluid is going to be? So once you've just put a gash in the cornea, you're going to cut the cow's eye in half so you can see all of the internal arrangements. So cut it in half with the optic nerve. That's the pointy bit to the left, sticking one way, and then the cornea the other, and you're just going to cut it in half. You can make an incision with a scalpel and then use scissors if that's easier. And as you're cutting it, think what else, and I'll give you a hint, maybe in the kitchen, food materials that you might have met that would have a similar feel to cutting the cow's eye in half. And you're not slicing through it, you're really just cutting around that sclera and other layers of the eye. And so what runs out of this part of the eye as you complete the cutting? What you see, leave it in the tray. That will be the vitreous humor.
Can you explain to me what you're doing right now?
We're just cutting
We are
through
cutting
them.
the eye in half.
Yeah. So that the vitreous humor spills out.
And what's that stuff that's right here?
This stuff.
No, the liquidy stuff. What do you think that is?
Oh, that
I think that's
aqueous?
the aqueous humor.
Yeah.
And investigate the half with the cornea. We'll assume, yes, that's the part that you'd gashed at the beginning and got the aqueous humor out of, and carefully remove the cornea. And what do you see underneath it? So you've got a diagram here. You should be able to cut through the cornea and see how hard it is or soft. And why do you think the cornea needs to have the properties of, how did it feel, hard or soft to cut through? And with the half with the cornea, you can pull the iris out. That's this portion here, left hand of the lower diagram, the iris. And in a cow's eye, the iris leaves a slightly oval hole, whereas our pupil is circular. And that answers what's in the center of it. And below that, you may see the lens. That might be in the portion that you separated, that when you cut the eye in half, it may be in the portion with the optic nerve. And if you take out the lens, put it over some writing and see what it does to the writing that you're looking
Can you show me where the vitreous humor is?
It's the gray
gel
stuff.
And what else do you see?
The lens. This is the lens.
Can you pull out the lens?
You got this is the door.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
I could choose the door. Oh wait.
What type of lens is it? Convex or concave?
Convex.
Yeah. And how do you know that?
Because it's
rounded
like, and it's like thick
It's
on the
thicker on
middle.
that middle.
Yeah.
Great. Nice. Hey, you can use your fingers too to hold it. All right, so there's part of your lens. And then what's this?
at. And going back to the texture of the substance that spilled out, and what is its purpose? So the eye is spherical, and without anything inside it, would it indeed be spherical? And when you're looking at the other half, the half with the optic nerve, look for blood vessels before you take anything out. You can tease away the retina, and you might discover that the retina is then attached at one portion. That surface retina is the one that has the rods for dim vision viewing, and the cones for being able to distinguish different colours. So remove the retinal layer carefully. You might have seen some blood vessels, and they're actually on the choroid layer just below that. And the retina is attached to the back of the eye, slightly lower than center, and it joins the optic nerve.
What is this right here?
So that's a red.
That's the retina. So you can actually pull that off with the tweezers.
Oh, it's like breaking.
It's okay. Great. And then what do you see behind it?
The tapetum lucidum.
Yeah.
And where the retina joins the optic nerve, it's known as the blind spot, because there are no rods.
We took out the lens and the retina and the vitreous humor and the optic nerve.
And then what else do you have in here?
We have the
Well, we still have the optic nerve back there.
where'd the
Uh-huh.
tapetum lucidum.
Uh-huh. And it looks like you still have some inside
And
the eye.
Yeah.
we still have to get the aqueous humor and the cornea, yeah. And here's the sclera.
Nice. Where's the iris?
It's right here.
Yeah. Great. Nice work.
Or cones at that portion. So outside of the retina, you've got the choroid layer, and the blood vessels are found there. And in quite a large number of animals, but not humans, the blue-greeny colour there is the tapetum, and that's going to help animals see in dimmer light.
What is that?
It's the choroid coat.
Coral.
Choroid coat.
And why is it that color?
So once you finish the dissection, got a little bit of cleanup, put all the cow parts into plastic trash bag in a bin, rinse your instruments and place them blades down in the soap solution in beakers, but separate each of the tools. Rinse your dissection tray board, if necessary, wipe it with paper towels, and when all cleared away, both you and those around you, if they don't need help, you can remove gloves and discard those. And when everyone's finished their dissection, remove goggles and your apron, then wash your hands. And here you can pause this to look, the eye part review and the diagram, and this one's showing some muscles as well. And very many thanks to Ms. Stronfeld and Grade 8 Science at Washington International School for doing the hard work of the dissection.
So just take it out like that?
Yeah.
Like that? Okay.
And what part of the eye is that?
The lens, right? Or the...
So which part is the lens?
That, the middle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And what was surrounding the lens?
The vitreous. The vitreous humor.
The vitreous humor. And what's the consistency of it?
It's like jelly-like. It's like the stuff that surrounds passion fruit seeds. That's what it feels like.
Nice. Good.
Oh shoot.
So what's the liquid stuff that's coming out?
The aqueous humor.
It's slippery.
So that's the iris.
Yeah.
And where's the pupil?
The pupil is the hole there in the middle.
Oh, it looks like a blueberry.
It actually does. Here, put it down.
Okay, wait. It's gotta like
Oh my gosh, that's so weird.
vitreous humor.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, feels like
What's
a
on the,
jelly.
what's here?
So that tan film is what's going to have our rods and cones. The retina. It feels like a moon jelly.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so pretty.
It's like the. Is that the choroid?
Keep going. Can we tear it? Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay if you tear it.
You can kind of. No, you can kind of see.
You see how shiny it is?
Wow, it's so pretty. Oh my gosh.